So that's my claim. Entrepreneurship is management, just not the general management of Fred Taylor. The unit of progress of that new entrepreneurial management is something I call validated learning. This is really at the crux of what the Lean Startup is all about. We have been trained in the 20th century to focus our energy acutely on trying to get our workplace to run as efficiently as possible. And the definition of that efficiency is making the most high-quality stuff as efficiently as possible. So any of us who are trained as engineers, we've been trained to look at a specification document and figure out, how do I achieve this specification at minimum effort? Does that sound right? And if I'm an engineer who comes to you and says, listen, I found a way to achieve that same spec at 80% of the cost, you're going to give me a huge promotion because you're going to be so excited I saved you 20% of the time. Here's my question for this definition of progress. If we as entrepreneurs are building something that nobody wants, why are we proud of having done it on time and on budget? That's fundamentally the problem that we face as entrepreneurs. More often than not, we are simply building the wrong things extremely efficiently. So I have this image of us driving a car off a cliff, but we're bragging about the gas mileage. It's like, we're very efficient, as we go right off the cliff and crash. That's the fundamental problem. Incidentally, managers who claim to have learned something are generally on the brink of being fired. So this is actually not that fun an excuse to use. Let me explain. If you're a general manager, some of you who've worked in big companies will know what I'm talking about. You come to your boss and you're like, I have really good news. I learned something important about what customers don't want because I built this plan, I successfully executed it, and now I have missed all my targets. But the good news is, if you just give me another year and another $1 million, it's totally going to work this time. That usually is the last report you will ever give in your company, because either it means you didn't make a very good plan, in which case you should be fired. Or even worse, it means that you made a good plan and failed to execute it, in which case you should be like double fired, if that's even possible. Fired with extreme prejudice. And yet in entrepreneurship, since we have this extreme uncertainty, we always fail. Our plans never turn out the way that they're supposed to. So what do we do about that? I want us to rehabilitate the concept of learning. Because here's the way my thought process worked. It was like, wait a minute. Why am I using learning only now as an excuse to make myself feel better? How come the word learning didn't come up even one time during the past 6 months? What did my co-founders and I talk to each other about? You can guess. We talked about what features do we absolutely have to build and not build? What bugs do we have to fix? I mentioned before, what customers do we listen to and who do we ignore? The word learning never crossed our lips one time until we had to justify a failure. And I said, if our goal the last 6 months was to learn this important thing about customers, why did it take 6 months? For example, we supported, I think, 12 different IM networks for interoperability out of the gate. Would our learning have been the same if we'd supported only 6? Yeah. What if we'd supported only 3? Yeah. What about only one network? We support only one client. Would we still have been able to learn that customers do not want to do this activity? Sure. Now, that's easy to say. You're like, oh, that's great. But wait a minute. That's 10 times less work for the same value. That was very upsetting. But that ain't nothing compared to this thought that was really disturbing. Because get this. What if we had just created a single web page with nothing more on it than a screenshot of the product we intended to build and a giant download button? Would we even have had to build page number 2 where we apologize that the product's not available yet? Or would a 404 have been sufficient? What did I say before? I said they wouldn't download the product. That means they literally wouldn't click the button, so who cares what's on page 2? Now, you can see why this is disturbing to me, because I had to pull out my business card. And what does it say on my business card? Chief Technology Officer. It does not say Chief Crappy One-Day Landing Page Experiment Officer. So then I was like, what am I supposed to do with my time? How is it possible that my 6 months of dedicated work could have the same value as a crappy one-page, experiment that some designer could have whipped together in an hour? That was really disturbing, and that is at the heart of what I'm trying to get at. That the value in an entrepreneurial situation is learning whether we're on the path to a sustainable business. Everything else that we do is waste.